What's going on, everyone? This is the Raikaze here, and today we're going to be talking about the Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba Infinity Castle movie. I did go and see it in the theaters and the IMAX, and you don't have to worry, we're not going to go into any spoilers. So that is going to be a disclaimer here. I try my best not to give any spoilers. I made sure I went ahead and saw it on the opening night just because I wanted to avoid any types of spoilers, and I try to give that same respect to other people as well. So you may not have time as of yet, but if you have not seen it yet, you need to make sure you go ahead and see this movie. So in terms of talking about the reaction or review of this video, we're going to leave out the spoilers, but we're going to just talk about some of the general things that was going on, so therefore you can be prepared for this movie as well. If you are like, do I want to see it, do I not want to see it? Now, first and foremost, this movie is going to be 2.5 hours long, so you do need to be prepared for that, especially if you are watching it in subtitles, because of course it's the best way to watch it, because you're going to be listening into the authentic audio of the Japanese voices, but nonetheless you're going to have a ton of reading to do if you're going to be watching it in the subtitle format. Now, with that being said, as you're reading these subtitles, there's going to be a ton of action. So you're going to need to be able to read quick and then also catch what is going on screen a whole lot faster, because there's a ton of action going on. There's a lot of backstories that are brought into this that will help us to understand a lot more of even our main characters that we've already known, and even some of the newer characters as well. So that's actually pretty interesting. I do like that. A couple of the backstories were a little drawn out, I will say that. You may have already read some of that online and things of the sort, where some of those backstories were extremely long, and honestly there's give and take, because there's some parts where it's like, oh, maybe this could have been a little bit shorter, but in another take it's like you kind of understand even more of how impactful or how much of character development some of these characters took off screen, so you're now getting caught up on all of that. So it's give and take. It's give and take. So I will say, let's call it like it was forms of light novels. Yeah, I may as well just say that. Let's just say it's a form of a light novel that's brought into the series. So you're getting the main line plus the backstory, which is the light novel, and there's just dropped in right in the middle of there. So honestly, I don't really have a problem with the backstories that were demonstrated here. Fortunately, when these episodes are going to be broken up into pieces, be prepared for a couple of these episodes being purely backstory, because that's what it's going to be, because you get, good 20-minute plus segments of backstory on some of these characters. So it is what it is, but nonetheless, it's 2.5 hours, so you can't just have action the entire time. So there's just that. Now, for those of you that can't remember, all of the Demon Slayers were suddenly dropped into that Infinity Castle, that dimension that is done by one of the demons, Blood Demon Arts, because it is actually a Blood Demon Art and it's constantly changing, and everybody is now dropping into it, and they're going to try to make their way back to Muzan so that they can try to kill Muzan. So that's the whole premise of what's going on. But of course, the whole thing that the demons have orchestrated is to drop them in and to have them be killed by all of the demons, and they won't be able to even make it to Muzan. Now, would it have been better for them to just use the Blood Demon Art and just like bring one Demon Slayer at a time and then just kill them off and do it that way? Wouldn't that have been a bit simpler? But oh well, I mean, I guess that kind of sets it up, but I think Muzan made a big mistake by going ahead and just saying, oh, let's bring them all over here. I think that's kind of dumb. He could have actually just said, okay, let's bring one at a time, and they have no choice because they're just literally walking by, and then the floor will just open up under them. So I mean, it would have been smarter, but whatever. It is what it is. But nonetheless, they're going to be in this ever-changing floor pattern. They're trying to make their way back to Muzan, but they're going to have to clash through a lot of demons. That's, of course, expected. With how vast this area is, I mean, it's going to be a challenge for the Demon Slayers nonetheless, because they're going to be exhausted. And to go against the upper-ranked demons who get one shot by Muzan already, how in the world are they going to be able to defeat them and then also defeat Muzan? So yes, the whole goal is to try to get rid of him while he's weakened, because he was in fact poisoned in the previous episodes prior to the movie. So, of course, see, that's not a spoiler, not doing any spoilers, but nonetheless, they are trying to make their way back to Muzan as soon as possible. I'm not really sure how much time is officially passing in the movie. Either it literally could only be like a couple minutes, really. I'm pretty sure that's all it really is. But nonetheless, they are hurrying to make their way back. That's what's actually going on. But as the scenes are continuing to develop, we got tons of gorgeous musical tracks that are going on. We have the epic visuals during these fight scenes. We have so much raw rage and the things that's going on with these characters as they are all developing. I promise you, this is a movie that you definitely have to see. And I'm just gonna go ahead and say this one thing. My top character, but they've been hinting at it a whole bunch. And Akaza, who is of course the demon, who is upper rank 3. I mean, he's definitely one of my top ones all the time anyway, because I love his fighting style. And honestly, his style does remind me a lot of Akuma. And that's from Street Fighter. So you have Akaza, Akuma. Similar names, and they also have similar types of just fighting styles, and they're just ready to go with their raw fists all the time. Seems interesting that how their names are so similar and how things are going with that. So, love that. Then we also have my boy Zenitsu. Zenitsu has been he's been one of my top characters ever since he stopped squealing all the time back in the past when he did his first lightning attack. And I was like, wait, thunder breathing? He's actually, but of course he was in the sleep state in the past and doing all those types of things. But as something had changed, and we all know from the previews that there's someone that he's actually going to be meeting and that knows his name, and he's ready to fight against them. And honestly, you are able to see a lot more of Zenitsu's backstory as well, and see a lot of his development as well. So I definitely recommend this because you will see really the truth behind Zenitsu. And oh my gosh, I think they also did him a little bit of an injustice. I will say that. I won't say what it is. Maybe in the future, let's say if this is after September 20th, then go ahead and leave a comment below, and or maybe if I'll read that comment at that point in time, I will go ahead and put my response of what I believe was the way they've done an injustice to Zenitsu. So that's way we can still avoid the spoilers up until that point in time, because it still will be yet roughly about another week or so for people to get the majority of the movie watched, and then we can take it from there. But other than that, Zenitsu is definitely also one of my top characters for this movie as well. But of course, everyone had their plans. The Demon Slayer had their plans to where they were going to try to kill Muzan right then and there, get him into the sunlight, boom, boom. But then we also have Muzan had his own plan, and then has all of the Demon Slayers trapped in a realm where they're going against all of these different demons at the same time. So who is going to be able to come out victorious in this situation? That is going to be the test of everyone's merits, everyone's tenacity, everyone's actually just will to not get broken down. If you are still contemplating whether or not you need to go ahead and see this movie, go ahead and see it. So at this moment in time, if you're still watching this, you should really be looking at the links and seeing what are the show times. And if honestly, if you need to call out of work at this point in time, go ahead and call out of work, because you need to go ahead and see this movie. But that's where I'm actually going to leave it here, because like I said, I don't want to go into any spoilers. I don't want to drag this out or anything of the sort. I'm just basically stating that this movie is top notch. I've been waiting for this movie for so long, and I'm glad I was able to go and see it. So make sure you are going to go ahead and see it. And if you already did see it, if you're going to go ahead and see it again. For me, this is one of the rare movies that I would say that I would actually go and see it again, because I don't typically ever go to the movie more than once, because I just don't really care to ever do that. I can remember everything that actually transpires. But at the same time, I also have this sense saying, oh well, this movie is also going to be released on Netflix in due time, so there's no real reason for me to go and see it again. So there's that. And with my type of work in the hospital, as well as the different things I do on stream and things of the sort, I don't really have all the time to just keep going back to the movies multiple times. So that's going to be the whole thing there. But would I want to see this movie again? Absolutely. Yes. Absolutely. So with that being said, if you have already seen the movie and or if you are planning to go and see the movie, leave me a comment below and tell me what you have thought of it or what you are hopeful for it. And if you are not planning on seeing the movie, go ahead and leave me a comment below there as well and tell me why you don't want to actually see the movie. And maybe I can help you out and plant another seed to say, yo, maybe you should go and see it anyway. But also while you're down there, make sure you're leaving a like, sharing, and subscribing, and turn on those notifications so you know when the next video goes live. But at this moment in time, this is going to be Rykaze signing off. You all know what to do. You stay strong, and you always power on. And catch y'all later.